Discover 3 spine-chilling true horror tales of sinister secrets and haunted nights exposed. Rachel's heart raced as the storm outside rattled the small brick house, echoing the chaos within. It wasn't just the howling wind that thrashed against the windows, it was the deep, sick feeling in her gut. Her daughter Mia's favorite teddy bear had vanished without a trace, and with it, the fragile piece of their lives. Mia cried, her tiny voice breaking the stormy silence, insisting the bear had whispered to her just before disappearing. The cozy corners of their home twisted into a suffocating weight, shadows stretching ominously like fingers across their yard. As Rachel searched frantically, she could feel eyes on her. The neighbors would glance away too quickly, their smiles tightened, more masks than genuine expressions. Mr. Smith lived next door. He always had that warm grin that made the other moms giggle, but now it felt like a sinister omen. Something was very wrong in Maplewood, and Rachel could feel it in her bones. As she scanned the rooms, the note of Mia's sobs twisted deeper, coming together with the rumble of thunder outside. The simplicity of her life, a struggle of night shifts and school lunches, suddenly screamed danger. Why was no one talking about the children who'd gone missing in their once quiet town? Rumors whispered on late-night social media threads spoke of horror stories, but who would believe such tales? Dismissed as nothing more than fiction. Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet night after night with Mia's cries echoing and Mr. Smith's unblinking gaze felt like chains stretching through the air, weighing heavily on her chest. Rachel couldn't help but wonder, was it paranoia creeping into her mind, or was it the piercing truth lurking just beneath? Her pulse raced when Mr. Smith knocked, his voice oozing sympathy. "I hear you're looking for that bear, Rachel. I'd be happy to help." But in his eyes, she saw something different. Dark energy simmered behind that charming smile, and her instincts roared to flee. Was it her imagination conjuring monsters where there were none, or had the hallowed neighborhood shifted into a battlefield of shadows? As Rachel slipped back into her home, the thunder rumbling again, each creak of the floorboards felt like an alert. Had she truly entered a nightmare? As she looked outside, a figure appeared dark and menacing, just beyond the trees. This wasn't just a storm. Was it a trick of the light? With every ounce of courage, she knew she had to unearth the truth. Circle it like a moth to a dangerously luminous flame. Was it a question of just her daughter's safety? Or had the grip of something terrible tightened around them, waiting to snatch away innocence? The air crackled, urging her to confront what lay deeper in the neighborhood. Would she dare follow the shadows, knowing they were creeping closer and closer? What other truths lay buried beneath the thick veneer of suburban normalcy? Rachel would soon find out, despair clenching her heart tighter than the storms swirling outside. Rachel's breath quickened as she stepped onto the porch. Each step felt like a plunge into cold water, the chill wrapping around her like tendrils of dread. The storm raged louder now, but it was the creeping fear inside her that whispered for her to flee. The figure in the darkness loomed just beyond reach, a vague silhouette ghastly and familiar. "Mia!" She called out, her voice barely breaking above the howling wind. There was no response, just the frantic beating of her heart in the silence. She squinted into the night, the trees swayed like clawed hands, casting twisted shadows. Was it all in her head? The brush of her fingertips traced the wood of the porch railing, seeking reassurance in the solidity of the familiar. Yet, even the wood felt ghostly under her touch. What if the neighbors knew something she didn't? What if they were in on a secret far darker than she could imagine? What if the thought clawed at her mind? What if Mr. Smith's warm smile hid something grotesque? What if the whispers of missing children were stifled truths, choked by fear? Suddenly, a small voice called from inside the house. "Mommy." Mia's voice, wretched and thin, cut through the tempest. Rachel's heart lurched, she spun back toward the door. The gap of light from the hallway felt both welcoming and foreboding. With every instinct screaming at her to run, she hurried inside, slamming the door behind her. "Mia." Her voice quivered, the tempest of the storm outside now a mere whisper compared to the storm in her heart. She dashed through the darkened living room, the atmosphere heavy like fog. The corners of the room seemed to pulse, shadows shifting as if alive. "Mia!" She cried again, desperation rising. In the dim light, she spotted the child's silhouette sitting on the floor with her back to the wall. Relief pooled in her chest, mixing with something else unease. "What happened?" "I can't find Mr. Teddy," Mia said, the sorrow in her voice striking saplings of fear. "He took him, Mom. The man in the trees." Rachel's blood ran cold. "What man, sweetheart?" She knelt down, trying to catch her daughter's wide, frightened eyes. "What man are you talking about?" He's not nice," Mia whimpered, clutching her ragged blanket. "He told me to go outside, but I didn't want to, so he got mad." "Who got mad?" Rachel's voice was barely a whisper, as if speaking too loudly would summon the man lurking in the darkness. "The man next door," Mia exclaimed, pointing a shaking finger toward the window. "He said he'll take me if I don't find Mr. Teddy." Rachel's heart plummeted. The walls around her suddenly felt too close, too suffocating. Mr. Smith's friendly facade came crashing down, revealing something sinister lurking beneath. She backed away from the window, fear washing over her like icy rain. "We have to get out of here," she said urgently, looking around frantically for any way to escape. But where could they go? The neighborhood had always been a haven, a bubble of safety. Now, it felt like a trap, and then, a loud knock echoed through the house. Rachel froze, her stomach knotting. The shadow in the dark, the laughter of unseen watchers, it all rushed back. "Stay here, Mia," she commanded, her voice shaking. She moved toward the door, each step heavy with dread. As she reached for the knob, she caught a glimpse of something out of the corner of her eye, a dark figure standing just past the glass, grinning under the streetlight like a grotesque specter. "Rachel, open up," the voice crooned, silky and inviting, but there was a coldness to it that sent chills racing down her spine. "I'm here to help," she wanted to scream. She wanted to run. But something held her captive, frozen in fear. What awaited her on the other side? Was this the moment when the shadows finally revealed their terrible truth? The knock came again, more insistent this time, vibrating through the floorboards and rattling her bones. The child's eyes, wide and glistening in the dim light, were locked onto her as if sensing her growing panic. "Mommy, don't let him in," Mia whispered, her voice trembling. "He can't be trusted." Rachel's heart raced. Every story she had heard about neighbors, the ones half-whispered during community gatherings, flooded back. Mr. Smith had always been too friendly, too eager to help. Chills ran down Rachel's spine. The man in the trees, the missing children, it was all too twisted to accept. Another knock, followed by a low, mocking laugh that slithered through the walls. "Oh, sweet Rachel. You don't want me to come inside? I promise, it'll be fun." She turned to Mia, dread pooling in her stomach. "What do we do?" Mia clutched her blanket tighter, drawing it up to her chin. "We can hide, Mommy. He won't find us." The innocence in her voice filled Rachel with a surge of protectiveness. "Okay, let us." Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a low creak echoed from the hallway. Rachel's breath hitched in her throat. A feeling of dread washed over her. The soft golden light didn't seem to belong to their home anymore. It felt like a beacon for something sinister. The laughter outside became a sing-song chant. "I know you're in there. Come out to play, come out and stay." Each taunt sent ice coursing through Rachel. She grabbed Mia's hand, dragging her toward the back of the house, desperate to find a place to hide. The kitchen was darker, shadows hugging the corners tightly. She crouched behind the old oak table, holding her breath as she listened to the heartbeats echoing around her. Mia squeezed her hand, eyes wide, barely able to contain her terror. "Mommy, what if he comes in?" Rachel pressed her finger to her lips, heart pounding in her ears. She strained to listen as the front door creaked and opened with a slow, deliberate groan. The shadows seemed to pulse in time with her racing heart. "Where are you, Rachel? Come out, come out!" The voice curled through the air, sweet yet nauseating. As footsteps padded softly through the living room, a chill danced along Rachel's spine. She peered out from her hiding spot. A figure entered, cloaked in a shroud of darkness, the features obscured but unmistakably familiar. Rachel's breath caught in her throat as she recognized the silhouette. "Mr. Smith?" She whispered to herself, disbelief coursing through her veins. "What do you think, Rachel? I told you I would help. You need me." His twisted grin sent daggers of ice through her. Suddenly, the lights flickered again. The darkness of the house seemed to deepen, curling around her like a suffocating fog. She felt trapped, lost in a web of fear and uncertainty. "Mommy?" Mia said, her voice barely audible, quaking in Rachel's grasp. "Is he the man in the trees?" Rachel felt a rush of nausea. She couldn't let him know where they were. She couldn't let him find them. The tension in the air thickened. "Shh, sweetheart, we have to stay quiet," Rachel murmured, feeling her pulse quicken as Mr. Smith approached their direction, stopping just a few feet away. "Playing hide and seek, are we? That's such a fun game." His voice dripped with malice, causing Rachel's stomach to churn. "But I think it's time for you to come out now." With frantic breaths, Rachel searched for an escape, but the world around her had shrunk to the size of this trembling moment. Deep down, she realized the truth: escape was a fleeting fantasy. Somehow, she had to confront this horror head-on. But what if confronting him meant losing everything? "Mommy," Mia whimpered, and Rachel felt her heart fracture. A new game awaits. As the darkness crept closer, Rachel wondered if they would survive this night. Would they be lost to the shadows forever? The door behind them rattled, and the laughter resumed, echoing in the suffocating silence. What would happen if Rachel stepped into the light? Was the truth worse than the terror lurking in the dark? The silence hung heavy in the air, punctuated only by Mr. Smith's drawn-out laughter. It was a sound that crawled under Rachel's skin, filling her with dread. She could feel Mia trembling beside her, and her heart clenched at the thought of what might happen next. "Rachel, I know you can hear me." His voice was a velvet whisper, slithering through the cracks in the walls, as though searching for weak points to exploit. "I promise I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to play." Rachel squeezed Mia's hand tighter, her pulse hammering in her ears. "Stay quiet," she breathed, trying to muster a semblance of calm. The kitchen felt alive with menace, shadows flickering unnaturally, crawling along the walls as if they were sentient beings. The footsteps moved closer, the soft padding echoing like a predator stalking its prey. Rachel dared to peek around the table. Mr. Smith moved through the living room, his face still obscured, but his eyes, those terrible eyes, shone with a cruel curiosity. "Such a lovely room you've made here. Makes me long for the days of old. We had so much fun, didn't we?" He stopped suddenly, tilting his head as if listening for something else. "I miss those who vanished." Rachel's blood ran cold. Did he mean the neighbors? The children? It felt like the walls were closing in on her. She had to do something. But what? "Mommy, I don't want to play." Mia's voice quivered, choked with fear. "Shush!" Rachel hissed. They couldn't let him know they were there. If he found them now, Mr. Smith continued his twisted monologue. "No one believes in me anymore. But I haven't gone anywhere, have I? I've just been waiting for the right time." Mia's small body shook with each whisper from the dark man, and Rachel fought the urge to bolt. An image of the open door raced through her mind, the way he could just sweep them away into the unknown beyond. The thought froze her. Suddenly, Mr. Smith let out an exaggerated sigh, a feigned expression of disappointment. "You know, it's much easier to play in the light. The darkness can be so isolating." The flicker of the kitchen light brought a surprising glimmer of hope. Was he aware of their hiding place? How could he? She dared another glance, and her heart plummeted. He was staring right at her, a knowing smirk spreading across his lips. "Isn't it time to reveal your secrets, Rachel?" The walls felt like they were inching closer, suffocating. She needed to distract him, to give Mia a chance to escape. "Mr. Smith!" She called out, trying to sound brave, her voice shaking. "What do you want?" His laughter, suddenly wild, filled the space like a storm. "What do I want? Oh, dear Rachel, it's not about what I want. It's about what you're willing to give, what I can give." Rachel echoed, her mind racing. "What do you mean?" "Let us play a game. Find me. Or find the truth about your neighbors. Either way, they've long since left. It's your turn now." Before she could respond, the lights flickered violently, plunging the kitchen into a deep, suffocating dark. Panic surged in her chest as she gripped Mia and stood, feeling the coldness of uncertainty overtaking her. Come out, wherever you are." His sing-song voice echoed eerily through the shadows, and Rachel knew this was no game. She took a deep breath. "We'll find a way out of this," Rachel whispered to Mia, though the reality loomed ahead, dark and uncompromising. And then there it was, a faint scratching sound, like nails against wood. Something else was lurking in the shadows, another hidden truth waiting to be unraveled. What had she awakened in her desperation? "Mommy?" Mia whispered, her fear bubbling over. Rachel felt the room closing in. The darkness was no longer just an absence of light, it was a hungry void, eager for more secrets to consume. With her heart racing, Rachel wondered if the night would ever end. And in that moment of despair, a horrifying thought struck her: what if escaping Mr. Smith wasn't their only concern? The scratching grew louder, a frantic scuttle that sent a chill down Rachel's spine. Mia's small fingers gripped her hand tighter, her breath shallow and quick. They were not alone in the dark. The realization slammed into Rachel like a fist, tightening her throat. "Stay close, Mia," Rachel whispered fiercely. She turned, her back against the table, feeling each corner like an unwelcome intruder. She had to maintain their barrier, but a panic surged through her. What was lurking just outside their tiny safe haven? As the scratching continued, it morphed into a distinct noise, a soft, raspy breathing that seemed to echo and bounce off the walls. Each exhale felt like a whispering promise of terror. Rachel could almost feel the heat of whatever creature dwelled in the shadows, eager to make its presence known. "Mr. Smith," Rachel managed to say, her voice cracking. "I don't want to play your game anymore." "Oh, Rachel," his voice wrapped around her like an unwanted hug. "The game has just begun. There's still so much to unravel." Her heart pounded harder. Time felt like it had narrowed, seconds stretched to eons, each moment a reminder of their ticking heartbeat against the inky blackness. "Tell me about my neighbors. What do you know?" Rachel shouted, trying to keep the fear from spilling over into hysteria. This was no ordinary man, he was a specter of nightmares living among them. A flicker of amusement danced in Mr. Smith's tone. "Ah, the curious rabbit, eager to burrow deeper. But isn't it more thrilling to discover the truth for yourself?" Suddenly, the breathing stopped. An eerie stillness blanketed the kitchen, swaddling Rachel in anxiety. The oppressive silence was worse than the chaos, it was suffocating, as if the shadows themselves conspired to spring forth from their hiding places. Mia whimpered softly, the sound breaking through Rachel's furious thoughts. With a swift look back, Rachel saw Mia's wide eyes glistening in the darkness, filled with confusion and terror. "Mommy, I feel something." Before Rachel could respond, a creaking sound echoed from the hallway, a slow, deliberate sound that hinted at movement. The front door, ajar during the chaos earlier, swayed gently, the faintest glimmer of moonlight spilling through. It was an opening, a possible escape. But what waited just beyond that threshold? "Do you want to see?" Mr. Smith asked, his voice a caress, laced with venom. They always want to see. Rachel's instinct screamed at her to flee, yet she was rooted, torn between abandoning everything or venturing out into the unknown, where Mr. Smith's promise of truths lay. "Mommy, please," Mia's voice cut through her thoughts. It was fragile, and each syllable felt like it could shatter. Rachel closed her eyes for a fleeting moment, summoning the last vestiges of her courage. "We're going out, Mia," she said, her voice steadied by an unwavering resolve. With a tight grip on her daughter's hand, Rachel moved towards the door. They had to face this together, step into the depths of darkness. But as she reached for the cool handle, another noise stopped her cold. A low growl reverberated from just behind the shadows, a promise of danger that made her heart nearly stop. "Mia," she whispered fiercely, "run. Just run. I'll follow." Before Mia could protest, Rachel yanked the door open, revealing the night beyond, but the monstrous figure lurching from the dark corner within their home had other plans. Did they step into the sanctuary of freedom or into the jaws of something more sinister? The figure lurched forward, grotesque and twisted, its eyes reflecting the dim light from the open doorway like two dark pools of malice. Rachel couldn't breathe. Time stretched, the moment gripping her chest like a vice. "Mia!" She screamed, but the sound felt thick and muffled in her throat, as if the air was being sucked from the room. Fear made her weak, but instinct propelled her forward. She shoved her daughter into the open corridor, hoping the instinct to escape lingered in Mia's small, terrified heart, but before Rachel could follow, the creature's gnarled fingers shot out, catching her wrist in a bone-crushing grip. The air vibrated with its growl, rattling through Rachel's bones. She twisted and pulled, adrenaline igniting her strength, but the creature only tightened its hold, drawing her closer. "Do you see now?" Mr. Smith's voice echoed in a mocking cadence from the kitchen behind her. The cadence was reflective of a cruel jester enjoying the playing out of his hand. "It's all about the choices you make." Their world shifted, the space between them crumbling as the creature yanked Rachel towards it. The darkness around her pulsed, threatening to swallow her whole. Heart racing, she searched desperately for Mia, but the little girl was swallowed by the vastness of the hallway, frozen in shock a few feet away. "Mommy!" Mia cried out, her voice a fragile echo of despair, bouncing against the walls like shattered glass. With a final, fierce tug, Rachel broke free, her body propelled towards the doorway. The creature stumbled back momentarily, as if surprised by her escape, its growl turning into a shriek of rage that reverberated through the quiet house. "Mia, run!" Rachel shouted, the urgency punctuating her words as if they were bullets fired in the dark. Sprinting into the hallway, Rachel clasped Mia's hand in a death grip as they both rushed into the open night, the moon casting a luminous glow over the cold ground. Rachel didn't dare to look back. She could hear the creature's furious thrashing behind them, the fierce clattering of nails against wood and the savage sounds pouring from its throat. They started across the yard, the grass cold and damp beneath their feet. Mia stumbled, and Rachel caught her in an instant, her heart hammering in her chest. "Keep going." But just as they reached the wrought iron gate that separated their home from the outside world, the ground beneath them trembled. A chilling rumble emanated from the earth, as if the very soil were warning them against crossing. And then the ground split open, jagged edges yawning wide, a dark abyss threatening to swallow them whole. Rachel hesitated, her instincts screaming to move, but the sight of the gaping crevice paralyzed her. "Mia!" she yelled, pulling her daughter close. The howling from inside the house grew louder, a cacophony of raging beasts and the deep, rumbling laughter of Mr. Smith blending together. "Mommy!" Mia's terror broke through, and in that moment, all rational thought disappeared. Before Rachel could think twice, she flung open the gate and surged forward, not knowing if she was running toward salvation or doom. Just as they stepped through, a guttural roar erupted behind them. Something powerful lunged at the door of their home, slamming against the frame with a deafening crash, and then silence. The world stood still, the night holding its breath, and for an agonizing heartbeat, Rachel thought they might be free. But then, from the depths of the shadows, Mr. Smith's voice slithered through the air like smoke, a whisper laden with threat. "You can run, but the secrets of this place will always find you." Suddenly, cold hands gripped her shoulders from behind, and everything went dark as the ground opened wide to swallow them whole. What awaited them on the other side? Did they truly escape the nightmare, or was something more sinister waiting to greet them? Rachel fell through an endless void, the darkness enveloping her like a suffocating shroud. She could hear Mia's screams echoing in her mind, twisting into a nightmare melody laced with dread. The sensation of flying through the dark, weightless yet heavy, made her stomach churn. And then, abruptly, she hit the ground. A hard thud resonated through her body, the impact knocking the breath from her lungs. Rachel scrambled to her feet, disoriented and gasping. The air felt thick and cold, pressing against her skin like icy fingers. Around her, shadows slithered and shifted, the faint outlines of twisted shapes writhing just out of sight. "Mia!" she called, her voice a raspy whisper in the oppressive silence. Panic clawed at her throat, making the words stick like glue. She stumbled forward, desperate to find her daughter in this engulfing darkness. "Mommy!" Mia's voice floated towards her, a lifeline piercing through the heavy gloom. Rachel rushed toward the sound. Her heart raced, pounding in her chest like a relentless drum. "Mia! Where are you?" "Over here." There was a flicker of light ahead, a small glimmer that beckoned her forward. She ran, the shadows whispering as she passed. Their murmurs filled her head, words she couldn't understand but felt deep in her bones. A shiver crawled down her spine. Memory flickered, images of Mr. Smith and that monstrous thing tearing apart their home, angered by their escape. How had it followed them here? As she reached the source of the light, Rachel found Mia crouched on the ground, her tiny frame etched against the faint glow. The girl's eyes were wide with terror, reflecting back the illumination like two bright saucers. "Mia!" Rachel fell to her knees, wrapping her arms around her daughter, relief flooding her senses. "Are you okay?" "They were coming, Mommy. I felt them." Mia's voice trembled, small and fragile as they huddled together. Rachel looked around, but the shadows loomed close, twisting and shifting as if alive. The light flickered, revealing jagged stone walls that caved inward, trapping them in a mysterious cavern. "What is this place?" she mumbled, a chill creeping up her back. "Where did we go?" But the light dimmed, and the whispers grew louder, swarming around them, until Rachel could no longer hear anything but her own heartbeat thundering in her ears. She held Mia tight, feeling the little girl's warmth against her own cold skin, a fragile flame in the overwhelming darkness. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, its form draped in tattered rags, it moved with an unnatural grace. Rachel's breath hitched, a primal fear clawing at her throat. "Welcome, trespassers," it hissed in a voice that slithered through the air like a venomous snake. "You have entered a realm where life and death intertwine. Here, your secrets shall be unearthed, and your choices shall seal your fate." Rachel gripped Mia tighter, instinctively shielding her daughter from the figure's penetrating gaze. "Get away from us!" she shouted, fury igniting within her. But the creature merely chuckled, the sound echoing ominously in the cavern. "Do you still think you can escape? You have already made your choice and it is now time to face the consequences." Before Rachel could reply, the ground vibrated as the shadows thickened around them, swirling into a storm. The walls seemed to close in, and she could hear Mia whimper beside her, the sound cutting through the chaos. Rachel felt her resolve sparking anew. "We will find a way out of here," she said, voice firm despite the dread gripping her heart. But where would they run? Into deeper darkness or towards the horrors that awaited? As the shadows lunged, enveloping them in a cold embrace, Rachel realized that this was only the beginning. She would learn the truth behind the entity that tormented them, and perhaps unearth the secrets hidden within their own hearts. What lay ahead was shrouded in darkness, yet beneath it, something was stirring, something that would challenge everything they thought they knew. Would they be able to confront it, or would the abyss consume them utterly? The shadows clung to Rachel and Mia like a second skin, swirling and curling around them, twisting reality until whatever lay ahead distorted into an unrecognizable nightmare. The entity's laughter dripped from the stone walls, reverberating through the tomb-like space, a reminder that they were far from safe. Rachel turned sharply, pulling Mia closer, her body shielding her child's fragile form from the smirking creature. "Stay behind me," she whispered, her voice shaky yet determined. The small flicker of light illuminated the area just enough to reveal the jagged stones that surrounded them, grim reminders of a long-abandoned world. "What do you want from us?" Rachel demanded, her voice rising over the cacophony of whispers. The figure moved unexpectedly, gliding forward until its grotesque features were revealed in the dim light. Hollow eyes peered into Rachel's, and a grin split its face, a smile that seemed far too wide. "What I want? Ah, but it is not I who desires anything," it hissed, the words dripping with malice. "It is you who must confront the shadows of your past and the truth that shatters your facade." "What do you mean?" Rachel's heart raced, a tidal wave of fear threatening to pull her under. She felt Mia tremble against her, the little girl's breath quickening in anxiety. "Once, you ran," the creature said, its tone low and menacing, "leaving your sins behind. But in this dimension, sins are not so easily buried. They manifest, gnawing at your soul, and without a reckoning, you will lose everything." A deep chill set in Rachel's spine, and she glanced down at Mia, who stared wide-eyed at the entity, trembling. No, Rachel felt bile rise in her throat. "We didn't do anything wrong. We did what we had to do." With a sudden rush, the shadows twisted violently, and visions erupted around them, scenes drawn from Rachel's memory. She saw images of their home, moments suffused with love, but interspersed were darker flashes, her arguments with Mia's father, desperate decisions made in moments of fear, and then, the ominous figure of Mr. Smith lurking in the shadows. It swept through her mind like a storm, each memory pulling her deeper into despair. "Those memories they won't hold you here," it whispered, its voice now like silk drawn tight, scraping against her sanity. "But what choice has delivered you to me is the very barrier that keeps you alive. Without confronting your past, you are a ghost haunting your own life. It is time to choose, Rachel. Confront your fears, or let the darkness consume you both." Rachel closed her eyes, feeling the tremors of despair course through her. "Mia," she said softly, trembling but resolute. "We have to face this together. I can't let them take you. Not again. They're coming." Mia cried, her small hands clenching Rachel's shirt. The shadows. A wave of darkness surged in, crashing against them like a tidal wave. Rachel's heart raced as the shadows pulled at her. She felt the icy tendrils wrapping around her limbs, threatening to drag her into the abyss, the whispers crescendoing into a chaotic symphony of fear. "Choose." The entity shrieked, its form shifting and merging with the shadows that lunged toward her. Rachel looked down at Mia, inspiration cutting through her fear. "We choose to fight. We choose to break free." The shadows hesitated for a brief moment, as if recoiling from her words. Rachel's voice rose above the tumult, trembling with defiance, each word fueled by the love she held for her daughter. And as she spoke, something shifted, a flicker of incandescent hope igniting in the darkness. But there was still no guarantee that they could emerge unscathed or even emerge at all. What awaited them beyond this moment of confrontation? Would they forge a path through the shadows, or would they be bound by the very darkness they sought to escape? The cavern vibrated with anticipation as Rachel and Mia clung to each other, ready to face the horrors ahead. The question echoed within her mind like a sickening chant: would love be strong enough to sever their ties to the past? The shadows recoiled slightly, as if contemplating Rachel's declaration. The air thickened, crackling with energy, swallowing any remnants of light. Rachel held her breath, waiting for the entity to respond. Fight? It sneered, the grin stretching wider, revealing rows of jagged teeth. You seek to resist what you cannot escape. Your past is inked into your soul. You believe love can save you? The shadows surged forward, a dark wave intent on pulling the two into a pit of despair. As the shadows rushed, Rachel felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over her. Every fiber in her being screamed to flee, but she anchored herself to the moment. Mia, hold tight. She yelled, her voice fierce against the howling whispers. Mama, I'm scared. Mia's eyes brimmed with tears, reflecting the swirling darkness around them. Rachel looked into her daughter's frightened face, and something within her ignited a protective fury stronger than fear. Before she could voice this resolve, the shadows enveloped them. Rachel braced herself, the cold seeped into her skin, curling around her heart. Yet in that freezing grip, she felt something stir, an ember of strength. She thought of all the love she held for Mia, the sacrifices, the nights spent calming her fears, the way they had built their lives, brick by brick, against the odds. No! She screamed, her voice an inferno rising above the chaos. We are not lost. We are not your prey. With each word, she felt warmth radiate from within, pushing against the darkness. The shadows hesitated, recoiling as if stung. They hissed like serpents, their forms twisting violently, clawing at the space around Rachel and Mia. The grotesque creature inched closer, its hollow eyes widening in something akin to rage. You think you can defy me? It shrieked, venom seeping into its tone. You are nothing but a weakling, shackled by your choices. Rachel clenched her fists, focusing on the memories that made her strong. No, I am not weak. I survived for her. I will not let you take me again. A blinding light burst from her clenched hands, illuminating the cavern in a flash that momentarily stilled the shadows. And what if your love is not enough? The creature taunted, reeling back. What is love if it cannot protect? What is hope in a world filled with despair? Rachel's heart pounded in her chest, questions spiraling. The shadows surged again, this time even more violently, as if sensing her wavering conviction. They groped hungrily, reaching for the cracks in her bravado. But instead of cowering, she lifted her chin, refusing to be swayed. Together, we can break this. She cried, meeting Mia's gaze. You're my courage, Mia. The little girl responded with a determination that lit her eyes. And you're my strength, Mama. We can do it. With renewed vigor, they pushed against the encroaching darkness, the bond between them flaring like a shield. The shadows screeched as the light expanded, forcing them back, but Rachel knew it was only temporary. They needed a plan, a way to break free of this distorted realm. Tell me what you want from me. Rachel shouted, her voice ringing out in defiance. I want to let you use my past against me. The entity narrowed its eyes, the grin fading. Ah, but it is the past that holds the key, it whispered, a sinister quality creeping into its dulcet tone. And you have yet to uncover the secrets buried deep within. As darkness swarmed closer, the vibrations in the cavern intensified. Rachel felt the weight of something ancient creeping into her mind, ghostly whispers clawing at her sanity. She turned to Mia, steeling herself. Stay with me, sweetheart. Whatever comes, we face it together, she implored. But... Mommy, what if we lose? Mia's sincerity struck at Rachel's heart, but she could not show doubt. Then we find a way to love each other in this darkness, even if we do. The shadows dashed forward, momentarily pausing, as if compelled by their resolute bond. Rachel's heart raced as she realized they were on the brink of a revelation or a catastrophic failure. What secrets lay entwined in her past, waiting to be unveiled? Would they survive long enough to confront it? Or would this be where their journey ended, consumed by the very shadows they sought to escape? As the darkness loomed, mocking their resolve, the tension spiraled. Would they uncover the truth or be lost forever in the depths of despair? The shadows pressed in tighter, their whispers swirling around Rachel and Mia like an unseen storm. The eerie creature licked its lips, its hollow eyes gleaming with dark promises of despair. But in that moment of terror, Rachel found clarity. The storm may rage, but she would not be swept away. The shadows couldn't stand against the truth of their love. Mia, Rachel breathed, tightening her grip on her daughter's hand. We face this together. We have to dig deeper than our fears. Mia nodded, her little frame trembling, but resolve glimmered in her eyes. Together, Mommy. No more hiding. The entity froze at their bravery, the dark laughter fading into a calculated silence. Do you think that's enough? It hissed, its voice turning dangerously low. Your love may embolden you, but the past has teeth. Rachel felt the shadows massing around her, threatening to reclaim their hold. She instinctively remembered Mr. Smith's twisted smile, the way the shadows danced around him in their neighborhood, whispering secrets of missing children and hearts stilled in fear. The past loomed like a claw in her mind. What do you want from me? Rachel shouted defiantly. I'm not afraid of the truth. The creature's grin widened, morphing into a snarl. The truth, my dear Rachel, lies buried deep within. Only confronting it will set you free, it taunted, the darkness pulsing in sync with its breaths. Rachel's heart raced. She grasped at her thoughts, memories surfacing like bubbles in a shaken soda. She recalled her moments of weakness, the guilt over her decisions, the arguments with Mia's father. The pressure to always be strong. And the fear of failing her daughter. I choose to confront you, she declared, meaning every word as she planted her feet firmly. I choose to break this cycle. The shadows convulsed as she spoke, recoiling as if pricked by 1,000 needles. Rachel felt strength seep into her veins, igniting her spirit like a divine spark. Mia, focus on our love. She urged. Let it protect us from his lies. Together, they stepped forward, hearts beating as one. Golden light poured from their clasped hands, illuminating the dark cavern with warmth that pierced the veil of dread. The shadows hissed, shrieking in pain at the light's embrace. No! Roared the creature as it lunged at them, but Rachel stood firm. We'll not be bound to your shadows any longer. The light swelled brighter, filling the cavern, reflecting against the stone walls. The whispers morphed into screams as the darkness writhed, unable to bear the brightness. Rachel felt the truth finally breaking free from the depths of the past, an echo of nights spent caring, loving, and aching for Mia. All the moments she thought defined failure spun around them, transforming into lessons of resilience. I love you, Mia. She shouted, a fierce declaration against the dark. You are my everything. Mia echoed her plea, voice rising triumphantly, and I love you, Mommy. With that, the walls quaked, the shadows seemingly shattering under the force of their bond. The figure howled, its form twisting grotesquely as the light broke free, cascading outward in radiant bursts. Oh, no! This cannot be! The figure screeched, bending backward as if something within it was being ripped apart. We are here! Rachel and Mia shouted in unison, their voices a clarion call that rang across the cave. Each word resonated truth and strength that shattered the lingering shadows, sending them spiraling away, and in a blinding flash, they were engulfed in light, the dark realm crumbling around them, collapsing into nothingness. With a sudden tug at her consciousness, Rachel felt weightless, as though floating amidst a cosmic embrace. And then, as swiftly as they had vanished, she and Mia landed softly on grass, a familiar field drenched in moonlight. Their yard. They were home, Rachel gasped, overwhelmed with emotional relief. Mia stood by her side, uncertainty flickering across her face, but Rachel knelt, wrapping her arms around her daughter. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she held Mia tightly against her heart. "Mommy, did we win?" Mia's small voice trembled, seeking reassurance. "Yes, sweetheart. We won. We found the courage to confront our fears and the strength in our love," Rachel whispered, brushing tears from her eyes. The lingering remnants of darkness faded with each heartbeat, evaporating into the night. As they stood there, a surge of hope rushed in, invigorating the space around them. They were safe. The whispers of darkness had lost, and the burden of secrets weighed less now. The shadows would linger, but together, they were shielded by an unbreakable bond. Rachel looked toward the house, glimmers of soft lights peeking from the windows. They had escaped, but the scars would remain, reminders of what they had faced and triumphed over. And perhaps the neighborhood would never feel the same, but one truth resonated solidly in her heart: love would always be stronger than fear. "Let us go inside," Rachel smiled through her tears. "There is a whole world to embrace without the weight of fear." As they stepped toward their home, Rachel took a deep breath, filling the night air with possibilities, her soul buoyed by newfound clarity. And in that moment, she knew they would face whatever came together, eyes wide open, hearts joined, no longer bound by what had haunted them before. This had been a battle, yes, but it was just the beginning. The power of truth had stood tall that night, and it would guide them through every challenge ahead. Time to embrace life anew. And just like that, Rachel and Mia stepped back into the light of their lives, armed with love and unyielding courage, ready to rewrite their own story, one with endless possibilities awaiting them. If you've enjoyed this wild ride, then you need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to be part of the journey as we uncover more exclusive stories. Hit that bell for notifications so you never miss out. Smash that like button now to make our voices ring even louder in the algorithm. We need your support. Flood the comments section with your thoughts about Rachel and Mia's journey and share your wild theories. We want to hear from you. And finally, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need a taste of spine-chilling tales and hope anew. This is the moment to show your support. Join the community and let us navigate this world together.